Hello, welcome to the fifth in this series of Digital Twin Talks looking at the interconnected digital twin. My name's Tom Hughes, the delivery lead of the Digital Twin Hub and facilitator for this Twin Talk series. Today I'm introducing Neil Brammal. Neil is a technical advisor from the Geospatial Commission and product owner for the preparation phase of the National Underground Asset Register, or NUAR for short. The NUAR project is driving the delivery of a comprehensive and secure sharing platform for buried assets. Neil has worked in the utility sector for 20 years, creating and delivering geospatial software solutions focused on reducing risk of damage to buried assets. He's a two-time winner of the Geospatial Innovation Challenge and has provided independent expert advice on a number of utility sharing initiatives in the UK. Neil's hopeful that this initiative will revolutionise the approach for geospatial data to promote safe and efficient working in the infrastructure sector. Before I hand over to Neil, just a piece of housekeeping. Neil, myself, and other members from the CDBB team will be online from 10:30 AM on Digital Twin Hub for a live discussion. So please bring your thoughts, questions, and challenges to the DT Hub. Thanks, and over to you, Neil.
Thank you, Tom. So my name is Neil Brammal, and I'm a technical advisor to the Geospatial Commission and currently product owner for the next phase of the National Underground Asset Register project, which I will henceforward refer to as NUAR to save a bit of time. I'd like to talk about that project and how we're looking to deliver value via a really clear focus on specific use cases, while at the same time building in flexibility so that the project can continue to deliver value and benefits in the longer term. So first of all, just a quick word on the Geospatial Commission itself. So the Commission is an independent expert committee based in the Cabinet Office at the heart of government and is responsible for the UK's geospatial strategy and tasked with unlocking the economic, social and environmental value in the UK's location data and capability. So I'd urge you to visit the Commission's web pages on gov.uk and especially refer you to the Geospatial Strategy, which was published in June of this year and is a really good read. So one of the key projects that the Commission is undertaking to unlock value is NUAR, which is a platform for sharing location data about buried assets. So that's all the pipes, the cables and the ducting that lie beneath our feet, buried under the streets and fields of the UK, and providing the energy, water, telecommunication services, all those critical services that keep the country going. So there's a lot of stuff down there, and digging a hole in the ground is fraught with risk, and that's not only to the safety of the person digging the hole, but to everyone who relies on these critical services, and that's all of us. And damages to buried assets cost the UK economy millions of pounds every year, and that's not even to mention the safety implications of incidents and accidents that occur when damage is done to these buried assets. So having maps and plans showing where all these buried assets are located is a critical part of safe digging. But the process to get hold of these maps and plans is currently quite difficult and inefficient. And even when you do get the maps and plans on site, it can often be very difficult to bring these together and to interpret the information that they offer. So NUAR aims to address these inefficiencies and support safe working by providing a clear, simple and combined map of the assets below the ground, which can be supplied securely to the people who are authorised to plan and execute excavations. So we commissioned two pilot projects, one in London and the other in the northeast of England. And working on those projects were the London Mayor's Office and Ordnance Survey. And the locations, so selected boroughs in London and the northeast of England were chosen specifically to build upon work that had already been undertaken and was already underway. So the pilots ran from April 2019 to April 2020 and successfully concluded in April 2020. And we carried out we carried out various activities during those projects, including discovery work with asset owners and their supply chain in both the Northeast and London to identify and really understand their requirements in this space. We did a lot of work on making inventories of existing data sets. There was the critical work of creating a harmonized data model, which I will talk about in more detail shortly. And we also worked on formulating a data sharing framework and really working on the legal underpinning for being able to share and distribute the data through the platform. So all this important work really led up to the development of a test platform, which allowed us to test our assumptions and test the feasibility of the approach. There was also a lot of work on transforming data and ingesting that data into the test platform, and that allowed us to carry out testing against our use cases, which again I will come on to shortly. And a lot of that testing was carried out on site at places where excavations were taking place, and all that work, all that testing allowed us, obviously to come up with a lot of findings, a lot of learnings, which we wrote up and delivered as part of the project. And based on those findings, we have a high level of confidence that a national underground asset register is feasible and will deliver the intended value. And the next phase of the project, which is underway now, will result in a procurement exercise to appoint a supplier or suppliers to implement an operational national platform. So just to round off that talk about the pilot projects, the learnings and the findings that we came up with during those projects are now available in a report on the gov.uk website. And again, I'd really encourage everyone who's interested in this space to go and have a read of that. And it gives everything that we learned during the last year. So I've spoken about the use cases that we focused on in the project, and it's a very deliberate decision to focus very tightly on specific use cases, and those use cases are those around safe excavation and related efficiencies in the planning and execution of those excavations. Now, this focus is very important for several reasons. It would be the easiest thing in the world to try and address a whole wide range of challenges. But the use cases that we've selected and which we're focusing on are seen to offer clear benefits, clear value. And there's always a real danger in scope creep, in that if you try to solve everything, you can often end up solving nothing because you've overreached. And the buy-in and the participation of asset owners is really critical to the success of the project. And there's a very clear desire to solve these particular problems. And that's across the whole spectrum of all the asset owners. So this is why we've really focused on these high value use cases. And that approach is borne out by the amazing level of participation that we observed during the pilots amongst the asset owners in those areas. So this tight focus on use cases is seen as being critical to a successful delivery, but we're also conscious of the risk of becoming siloed into tighter focus area. So we're very well aware that NUAR does not exist in a vacuum. Rather, it's part of a broader landscape, a broader ecosystem that includes other initiatives and systems that exist now and some that don't exist yet. And that broader landscape consideration is particularly relevant in the context of digital twins and the emerging vision of of interconnected digital twins. So how do we manage this, the necessary laser focus on specific high value use cases without boxing ourselves in, kind of hindering our ability to contribute to other high value use cases in the future, which aren't even clearly defined at the moment. So we obviously can't account for and second guess every future eventuality, but we can build in principles of flexibility which will stand us in good stead. And I'll discuss a couple of examples of this approach now. So I mentioned earlier that one of the key elements of the project is the harmonized data model. So this is important for the use cases, the core use cases that we're focusing on, in that it allows a common standardized representation of information to be presented to users, regardless of where they are working or in what sector. And also the process of transforming data into a harmonized data model presents opportunities for data quality improvement for asset owners as well. So, but the approach we've taken to a harmonized data model also allows us to build in some of those principles of flexibility. So the NUAR data model is based on an emerging international standard being developed by the Open Geospatial Consortium called MUDI, and that's the Model for Underground Data Definition and Integration. And in fact, some of the work on NUAR in the past 12 months has resulted in updates to the proposed MUDI model. So that work has been a two-way street, which is really encouraging. So one of the main reasons in building the data model upon MUDI is that extensibility and interoperability are really part of the DNA of the MUDI model. So extensibility is expressed through the modular approach to the development of the model. So the development of the model itself is driven by consideration of specific use cases, and the model is defined in such a way that extensions for different use cases can be built upon relatively simple, tight, common core. And then in terms of interoperability, one of the fundamental purposes of the MUDI model is to support data interchange and integration between different existing models and processes. This is done by representing common concepts in quite a general manner that can be easily mapped to and from other representations. And this built-in focus on interoperability, this allows NUAR to be built upon the principles of interoperability, even if specific requirements in that space are not known at this stage. So interoperability isn't though a sort of a woolly or a distant requirement for NUAR. In fact, there is an immediate and critical requirement for interoperability now, with the data, the systems, and the processes of the asset owners whose data will be exposed through the platform. So as well as building the principles of interoperability into the data model, we've also built flexibility into the way in which data suppliers, that's the asset owners, may interact with the test platform. So the platform architecture is designed along the lines of a hybrid model, which supports those asset owners who wish to upload their data into a central hosted repository, but also supports those asset owners who wish to keep their data, as it were, on premise, and expose it via an API or a data feed. So one of the security controls in the platform is that end users are allowed to request it for a specific area of interest. So the API or data feed approach allows asset owners to send over effectively just a small snapshot of their data for that specific area, and in response to a specific request. So it really allows them to keep a lot of control over how their data is shared, and that's really attractive to a lot of asset owners, of course. So that flexibility really brings immediate benefits. So we have done and we continue to do a lot of work on syntactic and semantic interoperability on the supply side of the platform, by defining suitable standards for inbound APIs, and also defining the mappings from source schemas to the target data model to ensure that the meaning of the incoming data is properly expressed through the platform and with respect to the use cases. So this flexibility not only makes it easier for a wide range of asset owners to participate in the platform in a way that suits their needs, but it also makes the platform more resilient to changing requirements in the future. We've also looked at flexibility of consumption of the data, and that's obviously part of that immediate interoperability challenge, let's say. And we have explored the principle of allowing consumption of the data from the platform via an outbound API, and that's as well as the kind of default view via a more constrained web user interface. Now, at this stage, I think it's fair to say we haven't really solved this problem convincingly of the outbound API. And there are real challenges in overcoming those, for instance, those slight differences in client implementations of OGC mapping services. And there are also real challenges in squaring this approach with the strict security requirements of the platform. So to some degree, we're kind of back to the drawing board a little bit on this front. And I think we really need a compelling use case for that approach to data consumption that will really unlock the value and really define the best way forward. So I hope that this has demonstrated that we're very much thinking about NUAR as part of a broader ecosystem, and that interoperability is very much part of our thinking. And that's not only to overcome the immediate challenges that we're focusing on, but also to stand us in good stead for requirements that may emerge in the future. So on that note, I would like to thank you very much for your time today, and I look forward to hearing your questions.